Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike, and we have the day before Jitters. We've got the FOMC, the biggest day in crypto history, coming up tomorrow. So today is kind of like preparation day. What are we going to be looking at today? We've got a lot of X-Files because there's a lot of breaking news. So we're going to spend some time going through a couple of tweets, which they're not articles because they've broken so soon. One of them is about one of our favourite projects, which of course is Maple Finance. Then we're going to talk about whether we've seen the last dip. I think we called the bottom when we were talking about bouncing off the bull market support band. We're going to have a look at that. We're going to have a look at Base. Are they going to launch their own token? We're going to have a look at Vitalik. Is he really a man or is he AI? We're going to look at Alt Season. We're going to look at Seized Tether. We're going to look at cross-chain Bitcoin. What's that about? And then if we get there, Doge ETF. So I say this a lot. We have a lot to talk about today, so we're going to get straight to it. First of all, we have our quiz night tomorrow night. We're going to be doing that at 7 p.m. So because there's a quiz night tomorrow night, there is no stream in the day. I have some videos to do. I haven't written the questions for the quiz. So if you're tuning in for a sneak answer, I haven't got one for you today because I haven't written them yet. And I'm going to write them from scratch. I don't want to hear anybody complaining. I don't want to see any umbrellas. Don't want to see any moaning. Okay, they're not written yet. So, I think that's pretty much it. I don't think we've got any other housekeeping to get through. So, we should probably go and have a look at the prices. I believe we're still about $116,000 on Bitcoin. Let me bring that up. Theme of the day is, of course, no more dips. No more dips. I don't know whether we are, at this moment in time, going to see any more dips. Okay? Right then, let's have a look. Bitcoin is coming in at 115.7. Ethereum still hanging around $4,500. XRP back over $3. Solana back up to 236. Looking reasonable. Cardano still hanging around 87 cents. Hype 53.33. I am going to whiz through this because we've got a lot to get through, and I want to make sure I get all of this across to you today. Now then, Pump, probably the best trade I've made so far in September. I'm joking. I think it's one of the best trades I've made so far. World Liberty Financial, I think I said I got in at 19.5 cents. That's up a little bit. They're the only two I'm going to pick. Now, the MYX Finance that we were expecting to have some kind of massive crash down to zero. Lots of commentators are talking about that starting to rip. So I'm going to go and do some research before Friday and find out about MYX on finance. And what I'll probably do on Friday, which I haven't done in a long time, is I'll do a segment specifically on the project. So I'm not going to do it on an article about them. I'm actually going to go and have a look at their website and dig a little bit deeper on them, because that's what we have to do. By the way, this light is incredibly bright today, so I'm struggling to see the screen. I don't know why I've got the brightness up so high. Athena is down a touch. The Tramp coin, Trailer Park coin, we should call this one, is also down. Story, Curve. Did anybody see the interview with Sam Altman? Did anybody else find Sam Altman a little bit strange? He doesn't look real. I don't know whether it's an act or whether it's nerves, but he just strikes me as disingenuous. I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. If there's one man in tech that could end humanity, it's Sam Altman for me, and I'd rather see the end of him. And I don't mean that in the wrong way. What I mean is the end of him as the head of his AI company. Get rid of him, take him out of the company, and put somebody else in charge. I just don't trust him as far as I can throw him. Now, we have a question of the day, by the way, which we don't do very often. Who will win, Powell or Trump? 2/3 of you so far have said Trump. I am on the side of 2/3, by the way. Right, so that's pretty much for the markets. I want to get into the stories because we have so much to get through. We're going to start off with a very simple question. Have a think about this and put in chat the answer that you would do in this situation. And that is, and hopefully Binance haven't deleted the tweet about this, Let me get the next one up as well while we're here. If you were the CEO of Binance for one day, what's the first thing you would do? Drop your wildest or smartest ideas below. Be the Binance CEO for a day. What would be the first thing you would do? I have made my 3 comments below. I would basically steal the ambassadors of other projects. That's number 1. I would then add a few projects to the Binance Smart Chain, and then I would list a few tokens. That would be my first day in charge. Let me know what you would do if you were in charge of Binance. And don't say transfer all the Bitcoin to yourself, because I don't think you'd get very far. Now, have I said hello to everybody in chat today already? Danny, Bullish Bull, Manjeet, Hidden, Kishan, I hope you're all doing incredibly well today. Looking forward to tomorrow. Right, the Rex Osprey XRP ETF launches this week. To my understanding, it's a spot product in a 40-act wrapper that holds real XRP plus cash, treasuries, and some derivatives. Basically, a spot ETF with extras, and is more regulated than traditional spot products. I don't know whether the hype is going to be around this, to be honest. I'm not getting a warm feeling in my waters about this. I don't think this is liftoff for XRP. I also don't think it's liftoff for Solana if their Rex Osprey ETF goes live, or any other Rex Osprey ETF. When I start seeing the words XRP and BlackRock, XRP and ARK Invest or VanEck, then I will get a warm fuzzy feeling in my waters. But until then, I think this is through the back door, basically. So not too interested in this, but you will see it in passing, and now you know. I mean, it will do some trading, it will buy some XRP, but I just don't think it's going to be the one that really sends XRP to $4 or $5, in my humble opinion. Push for USA accept. I don't know what that means. Right then, here are the top overall coins by development activity in the last 30 days. I've said this before, I'll say it again. This doesn't mean that the price of these tokens is going to go up. It means they are going through a build phase. It means they are rolling out updates to their projects. So, if you look at this, you will see some familiar names in the top 10. Chainlink is up there, Hedera is up there, Starknet is up there. That coin doesn't seem to do very well, and I'm a bit of a fan, so I don't know why. Deep is up there. That's obviously the Sui liquidity project, I think you would probably best off calling it. AVAX is up there. AVAX, of course, is ripping. Again, it's a good idea to follow the likes of Sentiment to give you an update. They don't tweet very often, and when they do tweet, it tends to be important information. And it's not sexy and exciting information. It's not memes. It's not GIFs. But I would advise you to go and keep an eye on them. They also look at different industries. Okay, yes. Push all of Binance to be available in America. I think that's coming. The biggest threat to hype and Hyperliquid is Binance US. And I don't know enough about it to comment fully, but I believe that the US traders are using Hyperliquid because they can't use Binance US. Now, my belief in that is, at some point in the future, if Binance US gets approved to go live with all of their different derivatives and everything else, then I think that will take some market share from Hype, and therefore may damage the Hype price. But it's not happened yet, so it's just conjecture. Right. Bogle and I believe Buffett as well. Would Def have supported this idea? He slammed quarterly earnings as creating short-termism. Wall Street raises alarm on Trump push to end quarterly earnings. Now, I am actually all for this as well, because I ran a business and I nearly got my business to be listed on a stock market. And the reason it didn't happen, and this is probably before many of your time, the 2008 crash pretty much wiped out 40 to 60% of my business. Pretty much. and then we never got close. But we were on the verge of being listed. And one of the things that was very, very annoying was you needed to do audited quarterly reports. Now, I don't know if you know anything about that, but that doesn't just happen. That takes weeks. So what you're doing is spending 2 to 3 weeks every 3 months producing, these quarterly reports. And there are fines, and the overhead of being listed on a stock exchange is quite high. Obviously, the rewards are a lot higher, but the fact that you have to basically spend nearly a month out of every 3 producing this kind of reporting is absolute nonsense. So I'm all for this, and I think it should be voluntary. I think if a company wants to do quarterly reports every 6 months, they should be allowed. Absolutely, totally agree with that. Legally, they should only have to do it once a year, because that's when they do their financials. So I'm all for this. So they can raise the alarm as much as they want. The people raising the alarm are the people being paid to do these quarterly reports, because they've got skin in the game, of course. Right then, let's move on very quickly. Like I said, we have a lot to get through today, so I'm going to try and do this as condensed as possible. This Bitcoin 100 list. Now, Hodl15 and I have had a few conversations over the last year or two, and I was following him when he was just a little sparkle in his daddy's eye, and now he's up to 87,000 followers. Again, not promoting this channel, just explaining the data that we have here. This started off as a list of about 15 or 20. Then it went to 50, and now we're at the stage where with my eyes, I need an eye operation by the way, with my eyes I just cannot see the minutiae on this tweet because there are so many companies listed. And within probably the next 3 months, 6 months, this list will be 200, 500. Then probably in a few years' time, this list will become some kind of huge PDF file. That's how much we are seeing adoption in front of our eyes, and I'm not going to stop telling you that. You are in the middle of the adoption phase of a new industry, and a lot of you probably don't realize that because maybe it's the first time you've ever been in an industry. I've been through 2 industries, big industries. I've been through the birth of the internet, and I've been through the birth of fintech, I suppose you could call it. This is the next one. And when you're in this, the type of news that you see becomes common to you. But most of these types of stories that we're reading out, they are groundbreaking. Now, we covered Plasma a few weeks ago. Plasma, if you remember, is the stablecoin blockchain. And Tether was setting this up to allow for transfer of funds back and forth across this specific blockchain. And at the time, I think I said, everything's going to have its own blockchain. We spoke yesterday about Mantra having its own blockchain. They're not really. They're just configured. It's like servers. It's just configured to do what they want it to do. And they have a level of security in place. Now, this took me by surprise, and I'm an ambassador of Maple Finance. Now, one of the things about the Genius Act is stablecoins are not allowed to make a yield. Now, the reason for that is slightly protectionist for banks. If you've got $1 million in Bank of America and they are paying you 0.5% interest, and then suddenly Tether comes along and offers you 5%, which is 10 times the interest, what are you going to do? You are going to take your funds out and put them in Tether or Circle or any other stable coin. And the banks don't like this. So the Genius Act puts in place a set of rules that stops regulated stablecoins from paying interest. But Maple Finance's Syrup USDC and USDT, they are not stablecoins. They are yield-bearing assets which are outside of the scope of the Genius Act. And what they are doing here is they are adding Syrup USDT to Plasma. So if you're on the Plasma blockchain and you're looking around and you've got your funds in Tether, you can switch them over to Syrup, and you're incentivized to do so because you have the drips rewards, you also have the XPL rewards before the mainnet and token generation event, so you're earning tokens on their blockchain. This opens today at 1 p.m. UTC, which I believe is 3 p.m. this afternoon my time. So 3 hours from now, no, 4 hours from now, this goes live. I believe the threshold at the minute is $200 million in Syrup USDT, and this is huge. Okay, it's not just huge for Syrup, because clearly it's massive for Syrup. This is huge for the stablecoin market, because when we covered this from the point of view as, oh, they're building a blockchain for stablecoins. Not that it's ready to go live today. We were talking about it in the future tense. It's already here. So this is Plasma. Stablecoin infrastructure for a new global financial system. This is going to go live. They're going to have their own token. They've obviously got the announcement of Maple Finance. This is massively bullish for crypto adoption, in my opinion. And I would be covering this article if it had or it didn't have Maple Finance in it, because I think this is massive news. Now, what do I expect to happen from this? I expect probably this new blockchain to process trillions of dollars a year from next year, easily. If they're going to start with, let's say, 50 billion transacted 20 times is only a trillion. So I think it's going to do trillions. And then finally, the last one is also one of our favorite projects. And that is that I think in about a week's time or so, Mew is going to be launching blind boxes on the 22nd of September, which I think is a week today, maybe. Now, I don't know enough about this, but we are strong advocates of Mew on here, and we've been, I don't know if we went as far back as April or May last year, but we were certainly in that vicinity of when Mew went live. We've been following them, and it's one of my favourite projects. They've got their own animation house. They're going to have their own animated TV series. They're at every event that goes on, and now they're dropping these blind boxes. So, again, something interesting and exciting. Now, we are going to get on with the news, because how far through the stream are we? We're already 20 minutes in, and we've only just got past that news. Now, probably the Plasma Maple announcement, I'm probably going to turn that into a video. Now, I've been checking on Binance, and there was a limit of 200 megabytes to upload onto Binance, and that appears to have gone, because I uploaded a 250 megabyte file a week or two ago, because I upload videos to Binance Square as well as YouTube. So I'm going to see if I can cover that in a video and try and get that video onto Binance Square, because it's pretty relevant, especially if you hold Syrup. I did a live stream yesterday on Binance Square, and the big takeaway of everything I did from that stream, apart from what I said about Bitcoin, was the time it's taken the Syrup price to fall 33% is the same amount of time it's taken for Maple Finance's assets under management to go up 50%. Now, if you have a company that has grown in value by 50% and the token has dropped by 33%, one of two things happened. Either the token was overvalued, which it is not, or there is a disparity between the token price and the project, which I talk about a lot. And I believe we should be looking at probably somewhere near $1 for Syrup right now, and we're at 44 45 cents. I haven't checked the price of syrup today, but we're at 45 cents. We know what's going to happen. There's going to be a violent move. Bitcoin price has dropped to 113,000. Might be the last big discount before new highs. Here's why. So, we've got a day left. This is the big one. Bitcoin could retest 111 to 113,000, mirroring the breakout structure seen in quarter 2. The URPD metric, which I've never heard of, shows 5.5% of Bitcoins clustered between 110 and 113. Fresh, mid-sized holders absorbed whale distribution of 715,000 Bitcoin. That is an awful lot. From a technical perspective, the critical retest zone sits between 111 and 113,000. This mirrors the structure in Q2. In June, Bitcoin rallied from sub 100,000 to 109, consolidating just below 110,000. I remember those days. That seemed to go on forever. After initial rejection, the market absorbed liquidity near 105 before breaking out higher. Now, again, the bull market support band, which we're not going to bring up. We did this yesterday twice. Actually, I brought up the Bitcoin chart. What I see happening is the range that we are in is 110,000 to 118,000. Okay? As long as we are in that range, nothing bothers me, nothing surprises me. That's the range we're in. And my range might not be to everybody's liking, but guess what? It's been absolutely nailed on since the beginning of July. We wicked above it once when we put in a new all-time high. We wicked below it once when we hit the bull market support band. And when we came down to the bull market support band, which was, 107,000, I said that might be the bottom. Now, if we're now talking about 110 to 113,000, that's the bottom of my range. I am completely on board with this. We are going to see volatility today and tomorrow. Do not panic sell your Bitcoin. Nothing in the next 48 hours is going to change the direction of Bitcoin. Nothing. Nothing Powell says or does is going to cause Bitcoin's price to crash. So if we suddenly go from 116,000 to 110,000, or even 109, 108, we start getting back to that bull market support band, don't panic. This is just what happens. We have 4 or 5 weeks left before we start the next big leg up. And again, if you watched the stream on Binance Square yesterday, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go over it again. October is Pumptober. This is the month we go up. How high we go? Crystal ball. How long it goes on for? Crystal ball. But it's October. The only October we did not pump was October 2022, I think. And that was it October? I think it was October 23. October 23 or October 22, I'd have to check. We didn't pump that month because that was the bear market. But the 2 years prior and the 2 years since, so it's 2024. Yeah, 2022. October 2022 didn't pump. But every October after and before that date, we have pumped. So don't panic. Now, this is a bit of a shocker of an article. Good morning. This is a shocker of an article. I have been telling you forever and a day that Base does not have its own token. And if you want to touch Base and you think Base is going to do incredibly well, you need to get into something like Aerodrome. That's the DEX over on Base. And that's the token to hold. If you want to hold a meme coin over on Base, then as far as I'm aware, it's still Brett. There are other, of course, projects over there. But this, I think, has taken everybody by surprise. Now, you can look at Binance and you can look at BNB. You can look at other exchanges who have their own blockchains, and you can see they've all got a utility token. And the one that doesn't is Coinbase. And I believe this happened because they were a listed stock exchange in America, and maybe they didn't want the heat of the Genslers of this world and the Democrat Party, so they just avoided it. Now, we've got Trump. Layer 2 said it's weighing up a token launch to boost decentralization while unveiling a Solana bridge to expand cross-chain interoperability. The Layer 2 network may soon launch a native token, Jesse Pollack said at Base Camp event. According to Base, the new token could support decentralization, expand opportunities for builders and creators. We're in the early phases of our exploration and don't have any specifics to share around timing, design, or governance, the network said on Monday. We know about Base. Base is a Layer 2 on Ethereum, the same way that you have Polygon and Arbitrum and Optimism and things like that. Launched in 2023, it's become one of the most widely used Ethereum Layer 2 blockchains, with data from token terminals showing 20.8 million monthly active users. And again, I remember when this launched, I didn't have high hopes for it, to be honest, until I saw how much effort was being put into it by certain people. And then I thought, this is going to absolutely fly. And I understand why there's no token, and I understand why they're talking about a token now. The other thing to bear in mind about this is this token is going to launch and go through the roof. It's not going to do a World Liberty Finance. This token is going to absolutely soar. If the list price is $1, expect it to go to $3 or $4. If you can get it for $1, buy it. If you can't and it rips, don't chase this pump, because I think this will pump and then it will dump. Remember, if they can't get this token live this year, or even in Q1 next year, they're going to be launching this token in the traditional bear market, which means it might have a really big price, but then it's going to have a year of going downwards and to the side. And again, with all new token launches, you've got to look at the tokenomics, you've got to look at the vesting period, you've got to see how the token's going to be launched. I would expect Brian to do a really good job of this, however, because he is an OG in this space. And much as I rib him for being bald, and I should talk, he is very knowledgeable. And again, I would be very surprised to see this not work, because I think he is going to get it right. Absolutely. Now then, is Vitalik a real human being? Let's look at the evidence. He doesn't look like a real human being. He doesn't talk like a real human being. He doesn't dance like a real human being. Could he be either a time traveler, could he be a cyborg, or could he be AI? That's all I'm going to put out there. That is all I'm going to put out there. Ethereum Foundation launches AI team to build an AI settlement layer. Vitalik will fit right in. He'll just sit down, plug himself in, and away he'll go. Little lights will be flashing behind his eyes. Little hair will stand on end, wiggling away. I'm only joking. I do like Vitalik an awful lot. The Ethereum Foundation has created the DAI team, led by research scientist David. We're going to go with Krapis, okay? We're going to go with Krapis on that name. To make a settlement layer for AI and the machine economy, the team will focus on enabling AI agents to transact and coordinate on Ethereum. The work will center around the ERC 8004 standard that focuses on verifying AI agents. Now again, just because you can doesn't mean you should, is something I say on here quite a lot. What I would say about this is, I think this is a good move. I think this is a very good move. An AI economy, or an economy with AI fully integrated, I'm absolutely on board with this. I don't want to be in a situation in 2 or 3 years' time where I'm copying and pasting wallet addresses for Danny or whoever else is in chat that's just won the quiz or whatever else it might be. I want a system in place where AI knows my contacts, where my contacts update their wallet address and my AI knows that. I want to be able to press a button and send $100,000 from Binance to my private wallet and back again without me worrying about a seed phrase being stolen. I want all of that. And AI, done correctly through the likes of this project, will help. Now, of course, AI can work independently of that. AI can work in the background. AI can be a settlement layer, so it can transact between banks or whatever else it might be. Or maybe even it can be used by, I don't know, somebody who wants to set up a 24/7 365 stock exchange on the Ethereum blockchain. Maybe this has been suggested to them. Our mission is to make Ethereum the preferred settlement and coordination layer for AIs and the machine economy. I'm all on board with this. Now, of course, we're not going to know too much information about this, but suffice to say, we've gone from probably 6 months ago, me sitting here saying, where's the roadmap? Where are they going? What are they doing? Is Vitalik the right man to be in charge? That's what I was saying when we were at, what, $1,400. Now, I still don't think Vitalik should be the head. And they did bring in that young Asian girl to become the CEO, I think. So that was the good move. Vitalik then went off on a little bit of a tangent, starting talking about privacy being a human right. And now the team are focused on things that I think add real value to Ethereum. And at the end of the day, that's all I care about. Does Vitalik add value to Ethereum? Does Anatoly add value to Solana? That's all you have to ask, okay? Because what your leader, let's call them that, what your leader should do is add value. They should not create noise. So, many examples of this in the past. Charles rowing with XRP, Charles rowing with Solana. It was noise, and it should have been avoided. And now we've got Trump. Charles is all, little tiny bluebirds and flowers and Snow White scenes, okay? And he's happy to sit down and sing Kumbaya with XRP and with Solana and with Bitcoin and all that kind of nonsense. So you want somebody to bring you value, and I think this brings value to Ethereum, and I can't wait to see a little bit more information about this. And one of these things is, of course, we're not going to have to wait 2 or 3 years for this, because this is something that's probably going to be out in the next 3 to 6 months. And that's what I was saying before. You're in the middle of a revolution in a segment of humanity, which of course is Web3 and blockchain tech. And the big questions are always, what effect are you really having on people's lives? And you can say, with a clear conscience, you can go to Nairobi today, and you can go to a shop in Nairobi, and you can use the Bitcoin Lightning Network to buy a bottle of Coke. And that merchant in Nairobi doesn't pay a lot in gas fees, probably doesn't pay anything in gas fees actually, doesn't pay to have his Bitcoin account, doesn't have to go through KYC where they reject him. So from one man in a shack selling a bottle of Coca-Cola, it is affecting his reality. At the other end of the scale, you have the American government setting up the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. That scale of growth and adoption and everything, you have to remind yourself you are in the middle of this, because this is supposed to be the most exciting period of this new industry. And we're going to get the same thing with AI. AI is going on around us. It's not quite there yet, but it will be, and that will be another evolution. So enjoy this. This is something you'll look back and you'll tell your kids about, or you'll be my age and you'll say, I remember when the internet first started and we had Alta Vista, and we had, what was it called? What was the name of that website? Everybody, there was a community. You had your own streets and you had your own cities, and you all lived next to each other online, all that kind of stuff. You had MySpace. All these budding musicians started. Justin Bieber started there. That was the birth of the internet. This is the birth of Web3. You should be excited to be in this. And the other thing about this is, don't sit there and think, I don't know enough about this. I don't understand all of it. You can't understand all of it. There's thousands and thousands of projects in every conceivable industry. We could go and look at water, wheat. We could go and look at army or real estate. We could go and look at schooling. We could go and look at healthcare. Every single industry is getting some kind of Web3 integration. You can't know it all, but you can know the fundamentals, and that's what's important. You will always be learning, and that is another important takeaway. Now, alt season is waking up. Here are the top crypto tokens to buy before you miss out. Now, somebody asked me the other day, what are my takeaways? And I gave you some examples in chat of what I am looking at. And what I would say is this. Nobody out there is going to give you a list of guaranteed horses to win. Nearly every one of our picks from January 2023 has been right, with the exception of Polygon. And I haven't lost conviction in Polygon. Polygon's the worst performing of everything that we ever bought. But everything else is up multiples. That's why you should have a portfolio. And our portfolio, I haven't checked it in a while, I think it's up about 4x from the bottom. We're expecting it to be up 7x from the bottom. So these lists should be considered, but not as gospel. So this is, I imagine this guy's written a video, and he's done a very good job, by the way. I read this last night. Bitcoin breaks records, attention rotates, top 10 signals, leadership, you can actually trade. Early alt season isn't about micro caps doing 40% candles at 3 a.m. It starts with majors pressing obvious levels. This is what I like. I don't know who this guy is, and I'm not allowed to advertise him because last time I did something like this, Binance turned me off. So I've got to be careful. We're going to look at some of these tokens suggested here. BNB has printed an all-time high. Okay. That was what, $920? Brilliant. Okay. BNB is one of those things. It sneaks up on you like a cold. You don't know you've got it, and then you've got it. Okay. BNB, you didn't realize it was near all-time highs, and then it was there. And the next thing, we're going to be over $1,000 for BNB, and you're not going to know. You're going to think, oh my God, BNB's $1,000. That's what BNB does. It just moves ever so slowly. BNB, I would certainly look at as a hold. I don't know whether I would buy BNB now. I bought BNB at $200, $220, around that figure, and I told you the day I was buying it on the stream. I said, I don't hold any BNB. We stream on BNB. I should go and buy some. So whenever BNB was $200, that's when I bought it. Tron, no, not a fan at all, but the metrics of Tron make it something you can't deny. It's a top 10 coin. 43 cents record late last year, higher lows, tighter ranges, boom, breakout. Clearly lives above 34 to 40 cent band. The old high isn't far away. Again, if you turn around to me and said I've bought all four of these coins, I would be very, very happy, because other than Ethereum and Bitcoin, which should make up half of your portfolio, these are four really pretty good picks. I don't like Tron, but that's my personal opinion. Solana reclaimed $200. What are we now? $230, $235. All-time high $260. Again, we're almost there. XRP, fog has lifted. All-time high is $3.84. Look at that. So BNB broke all-time high very recently. Tron can break all-time high very quickly. Solana can break all-time high very quickly. XRP can probably break all-time high very quickly. A 20 or 30% move on any of these coins, they're at all-time highs. Now look at your portfolio. How far away are some of your coins from all-time highs? That's the question to ask yourself. Now, I'm not saying this is the be-all and end-all of all the tokens that you should hold, because I certainly don't believe that at all. I think you should be looking at maybe 12 maximum tokens. So there's 4 there, and then you've got Ethereum and Bitcoin, that's 6. So there is room for you to add in some coins which can go higher. So we spoke yesterday, I said, is Ethereum really going to 3x from here and go to $14,000? I don't think so. We're in September. The end of the bull run should be November. And yes, we have a blow off top. But a blow off top doesn't mean a $25,000 Ethereum. A blow off top can mean a $600, $800 Solana because it's got a lower market cap. It can mean XRP going to $5 or $7. It can mean Tron, I don't know, maybe Tron goes to 80 cents. Okay, maybe BNB goes to $1,500. Maybe those things do happen. But you're not going to make your 10x's, and the time for making your 10x's is pretty much gone. Right then, these are your examples of coins. Again, I don't know who this is, but this is really well put together. Very, very impressed with this. Parabolic windows. If history rhymes, the back half of the year is where the air gets thin. Bitcoin prints its showpiece, and weeks to a few months later, alts go turbo. Analysts are already circling Q4 for a potential blow-off raise. The difference now is structure, regulated money, and retail. That's fuel on fuel. No prediction gospel here, just odds. If large caps keep making higher highs and Bitcoin dominance grinds sideways or lower, the window opens wider. And that is a nice big list. Now, if you want this, I'm going to probably drop that article. I'll drop that article into Telegram because I think you should read this. This is solid advice, and I've never heard of this person before. I'm going to go and probably follow them on X as well, because that's solid advice. And yes, it does sound like the kind of advice I would give. Shoot me. Actually, don't do that. I'll get turned off. Right, then let's move on very quickly. BNB is still going. BNB is still going to keep moving up. You know, just don't expect $5,000, $10,000 BNB. Its market cap's too high. 1,500, 2,000. I think at one point I said 2,500. But let's stick with 1,000 and 1,500 for now. Now, this is a short one. And this isn't about the act itself. This is about the fact that Tether can freeze assets. That's what you have to bear in mind. Okay? Now, so the National Bureau for Counter Financing said crypto should be seized. Now, as far as I'm aware, it has been. I think they seized all but $1.5 million were seized. The addresses which collectively received $1.5 billion are linked to this thing that I'm not going to talk about. And the Bureau said in its announcement that the crypto across the 187 addresses should be seized. It did not immediately respond to decrypt. Now, the reason I brought this up is because of this element here. Where is my mouse? It's up there. Okay, give me a second. There. Right. That's the most important sentence on here. If you hold Tether in your non-custodial wallet, so let's say you have a Trust wallet or you have a MetaMask wallet, and you have $100,000 of Tether in that wallet, that is freezable. I think Circle is the same. They can freeze those funds in your wallet, number one. Number two, your wallet can be blacklisted, which means the likes of Binance don't have to give you your funds. Now, there is a very good reason for this, and I'm not going to sit here and say you should all go and buy Monero, because I don't believe Monero is the solution. There is a fine line between censorship and criminality. Let's leave it at that. Criminality should be squashed as best as possible to the furthest extent of the law. That I am wholeheartedly on board with. If the Canadian government doesn't like the fact I am sending $50 a month to Greenpeace, I do not believe the government of Canada have a right to freeze my wallet and stop me from pursuing my political opinions. Okay? That line, okay, that criminality line has to be defined to ensure your safety on both sides. And one thing that you don't know, many of you don't know, is that lots of assets in your wallets can be frozen. Another example of this is Star Atlas with these NFTs, you know, the spaceship NFTs that fly around or whatever. They can be frozen in your wallet. So if somebody steals your $1,000 ship, it can be frozen by Star Atlas. So don't think just because it's in your MetaMask or your Phantom wallet, don't think that because it's in there, it is outside of control. And if you want to have assets in your wallet which cannot be frozen, you need to hold Bitcoin. Ethereum, as far as I'm aware, they can do all sorts with it as well. Look at not holding, depending where you live, look at not holding Tether and Circle in your wallet. That's important. Also, you know, the likes of Maple Finance, by the way, they have their own token, Syrup USDC. They can do similar things. Lots and lots of these yield-bearing assets, lots and lots of these stable coins, they can all do the same thing. So just be very careful. As long as you're a good guy, you've got nothing to worry about. But if you're a good guy living in a bad place, maybe think about doing something else. Right, Symbiotic. How long do we have left, by the way? What, we got 15 minutes? Good morning, Minnesota. Or Minnesota, should I say. I hope you are well. Right, we've got 15 minutes left. I've managed to absolutely power through this, which I'm quite happy about. So we'll go through this a little bit slower, because this is something I'm quite passionate about, and that is yield-bearing Bitcoin. At some point in the future, Binance is going to give you multiple ways to earn on your Bitcoin. They've already given you Solve Protocol, where you can stake your Bitcoin and earn. But I believe in a future, I sound like Michael Jackson, I believe in a future where you can have liquid staking Bitcoin or native Bitcoin on Binance that you can stake and earn a return on. Now, you might think, it's proof of work, you can't earn on that. No, you can't, not directly, but there are layer 2s out there. There's Core Protocol, there's Solve Protocol, there's Babylon. And then you have, on top of that, you have companies trying to tap in to the yield you can get from Bitcoin. We have the likes of, obviously, Maple Finance, I know, but this article here is about Lombard. I love Lombard. I think they're a great business. And I'm not going to say they're a bad business because I like Maple. They're all good businesses, and they're all trying to achieve something, which is to unlock yield on Bitcoin. Now, Symbiotic teams up with Chainlink Lombard for cross-chain Bitcoin security. Now, the important thing here is Lombard is, let's say Lombard is on Babylon, or connected to Babylon. Babylon's a layer 2 on Ethereum. How does it get from there to Solana? How does it get from Solana to Cardano? From Cardano to AVAX? From AVAX to Arbitrum? Okay? You need to use something like CCIP. Now, this isn't the first time Symbiotic and Chainlink have come together, that we've covered this in the past, but it has been the first time I've seen this mentioned with regards to Bitcoin. So part of the rollout, Symbiotic unveiled 2 staking vaults, a 100 million link, and 20 million Bard vault. Now again, there's multiple ways to earn yield. You can stake your Bitcoin and earn in Solve tokens. You can stake your Bitcoin and earn Core or Bard or whatever other tokens they may be. That's what you can get paid in. And there's lots of ways and jiggery pokery to try and add value to that. But we're not here to talk about that now. So it's partnered with Chainlink to introduce a new crypto economic security layer for its cross-chain transfers of Lombard's staked Bitcoin LBTC. According to the announcement, the collaboration integrates Chainlink's CCIP with Symbiotic restaking framework to safeguard LBC as it moves across blockchains. Lombard, which has more than 1.5 billion in total value locked, is also preparing to launch its native token Bard, according to initial reporting by The Defiant. As part of the rollout, Symbiotic unveiled 2 these vaults. We know about this. We don't need to talk about this too much. The development positions Symbiotic, currently the 3rd largest restaking platform with 1.28 billion in TVL, as a direct competitor to EigenLayer and Babylon. Interestingly enough, Babylon is partnered with Lombard. The growing restaking sector. Lombard co-founder Jacob Phillips said the integration provides stronger economic guarantees through staking. Again, this is bullish news, but this is the news of the future. Again, this is news of the future. The same, the Ethereum that we're covering is news of the future. And Binance are going to be involved at some point. They are going to have the simple earn system they have in place there. They are going to have multiple ways for you to earn on your Bitcoin without your Bitcoin ever leaving Binance. Now, I don't care for the not your keys, not your crypto brigade. Go away, okay? It doesn't work for retail. It doesn't work for 90% of people. It doesn't. Hot wallets, which is where a lot of people put their crypto because they think that's the best place to put it outside of an exchange, they get hacked. Click the wrong link on Discord, your funds are gone. Try and use a ledger, you lose the ledger, or you lose your seed phrase, or whatever it might be. you're knackered, and it requires some level of competence. Binance has been through the toughest bear market in history, and maybe the next one is even tougher. You want to have your money positioned with somebody you trust. I trust Binance. Okay, I trust a few other exchanges as well, for the record. And again, you're going to see a portal in Binance called Bitcoin Earn, and you're going to see the Lombards. Maybe Maple has Syrup BTC. Maybe you have the Solve protocol in there. You'll have multiple ways, and you're going to have multiple things that you can earn. Maybe they allow you to choose payout in Bitcoin, or payout in Solve, or payout in Core. You will have a future where your Bitcoin earns you a yield. That's the future that you should be focused on, because as far as I'm concerned, Bitcoin is your never sell asset. But never sell does not mean never earn yield asset. It means that you should hold on to it and earn that yield. Because, okay, let's say it's 1%. I think it'll be a lot higher, but let's say it's 1% of 100,000. That's making you $1,000 a year in yield. But let's say Bitcoin goes to $1 million. That's making you $10,000 a year in yield. So it's a percentage. It's not a flat rate, and you need to, look at these things. And in my opinion, maybe Ethereum, if it keeps going, is going to become another one of my never sell assets. But for now, it's just Bitcoin. Now, this is, again, I'm going to tell you this through gritted teeth. I would stake my Bitcoin for the next 20 years if it paid 4%. That's how much I believe in Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is generational wealth. I think Bitcoin gets put into a trust and becomes the Fitzgerald Bitcoin Trust that then gets passed down from generation to generation. And then if that generation runs out and there's no more heirs, it gets paid into a charity. That's how long I would do it for. At this moment in time, if you are... I wouldn't lock any asset up like Crow. Let's say I'm right, and let's say the blow off top is November the 24th. We're 2.5 months away. So if you lock your Crow up for 12 months, you're going to be coming back in the bear market. And you might have Crow today at 23 cents. Let's say it goes to $1. You can't sell, it's locked up. So what will happen is, let's say it goes from $1, and then this time next year, it's back at 40 cents. Yes, you're 60% up, but you missed the dollar because you can't unlock and you can't sell. My strategy is going to be, in 3 weeks' time, I'm going to unlock all of my tokens. So at the start of this year, I unstaked all of my Ethereum. It's unlocked. I think I've got maybe 4 or 5 left locked, actually. That's a lie. But that's it. My Ethereum is unlocked. My Crow is going to be unlocked in October. I don't think I've got anything else staked. Everything is earning a yield or earning nothing, because I want to be able to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and press sell. So if I get a notification at 4 in the morning saying that ETH has hit $10,000, I'm selling a big bag of ETH. And I want to do that with Crow. I can't do that with Crow if I'm locking it up for 20%. Now, that's only if you want to get out in this bull run. If you're holding Crow for the next 4 years, so 2029 is the end of the next bull run, then you lock it up for 20%. And then when it unstakes next year, you lock it up for 20%. And you do that 3 times, and you're going to turn 100,000 Crow maybe into 180,000 Crow. That's what I would do, yes. But if you're trying to get out in this bull run, I would unstake everything from the beginning of October. And that's just my non-financial advice, because there's nothing worse. Let's say we hit $8,000 on Ethereum, and I've got my hat on, which we're going to use these peanuts, okay? I've got my peanut hat on, right, which has got the word sell on it. And you can't sell your Ethereum because it's locked up, and everybody else is trying to unlock their Ethereum, and there's a 35-day unlock period. And I think if you have a look at the minute, it's quite a long time. It's like 31 days. So you're going to miss 31 days, which is probably Ethereum going from, let's say, argument's sake, let's say you're missing it going from 7,000 to 9,000 to 10,000 to 8,000 to 6,000. So you're going to miss the entire thing because you're locked for 31 days. If you think this bull run is going to last for 6 months and it's just going to keep going up, it doesn't work like that. It's never worked like that. Maybe it works like that this time, but, so I wouldn't lock anything up unless you're holding for the long term. And that's the problem. There are people on X and in lots of other places, and they have different destinations and they have different journeys. And if your journey is to get to 1 million Crow, for example, now 1 million Crow would have cost you $200,000 a year and a half ago. 1 million Crow now is going to cost you 250. No, hang on, let's work this out. 55. I don't know what it is. Is it $50,000? 5 cents? No, 200,000 Crow, 5 cents. That's right. No, it's not. Anyway, whatever it is, I can't do the math in my head. The point of the matter is, we're at 25 cents now. We were at 5 cents, so we've already 5x'd. If we go to $1, that's another 4x from here, but it's a 20x from the bottom. I think it's a really good return from Crow, and I would sell at $1. I would sell all of my Crow at $1. And my staked Crow, which is locked up for the card, that already has gone past the point of, I can unstake that at the drop of a hat. So that's what I would do. That's why I'm against locking it up. Oh, right, yeah. I mean, I would, yeah, again, the other option is with Bitcoin, my idea was, before the beginning of this year, my idea was I was going to keep 1 or 2 Bitcoin and sell the rest. That was my idea. And now I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to keep it all. With Ethereum, I'm out. I think at this moment in time, I'm out, completely out of Ethereum. I'm out of XRP. I'm out of Solana. I'm out of Chainlink. Whatever else I'm holding that's got a large amount. I'm out of it all. And then I'm going to sit at the end of this year or April next year. I want to be sitting on a big bag of cash and my Bitcoin, and I'll be happy. That's my plan. Doesn't mean it has to be your plan. Right, I'm going to keep this very short. Dogecoin inches closer to Wall Street with ETF set for launch this week. Again, I don't care. I don't care about that. I don't care about Dogecoin. It is garbage. Okay? Now, the thing with garbage is you can always make money out of garbage. And if you get in at Dogecoin, or you got into Dogecoin at 10 or 11 cents, I don't even know what it is now, I don't even look at the price of Doge, you're going to make money. You make money in the bull run. You can buy crap and make money in a bull run. You might not make as much as if you bought into real projects, but you'll still make money in this bull run. And then you'll have a false sense of security for the next bull run. You might make a 5x from here on in. Brilliant. But you might make a 7x or a 6x if you bought the right projects. So whether you win or somebody else wins, your journey might be buying the likes of Doge or Bonk or Mew is a good coin. Yeah, Brett, you buy meme coins. You might be 100% meme coins and you might do an 8x. Fantastic. But it's not for me. They don't make money. They don't have a business model. Only the likes of, say, Bonk and the likes of Mew and maybe even the likes of Floki have got probable reasons to make money. The rest of them are just meme coins, and that's what they're set up for. They're set up to be meme coins at the end of the day. And then if you look at AI, I think AI is too soon for this bull run. Doesn't mean I haven't got some tokens. I've got some AI XBT, I've got some virtuals, but I think it's not for this cycle. Chainlink, by the way, Chainlink was too early in 2021. It was too early. And now look at where it is. It's the de facto oracle of the blockchain. 4 years ago, it was unripe. now it's ripe. 4 years' time, AI tokens are going to be more than ripe. Maybe even in 12 months' time, they're going to be ripe. So it's also about timing. You know, if you're in meme coins now and you make a 7x, and then you flip that into AI tokens next year or the year after, you're likely to 50 to 100x your money in the next 4 years if you do it right. And that's not being overly optimistic, because you buy the right projects. Look at Amazon, Tesla, Apple. Look at how high those stocks have run. You see the memes. If you put $1,000 into Apple so many years ago, it's now worth $86 trillion, whatever it is. That does apply in crypto. I'm not saying it doesn't. You can make a lot of money, but just be careful with what you decide you're going to go forward with. Anyway, I'm going to go because we have a big, we've got a big day tomorrow. Also, actually, yeah, before I forget, sorry, the Oracle is streaming tonight on Binance Square as well. He's going to do his trading show at 9 p.m. 9 hours from now, the Oracle will be live. I am back tomorrow night with the Oracle. We are doing Wolf Swap tomorrow night. So it is a Chronos chain quiz. And we are going to stream on Binance Live. We're not going to stream on Binance Square. We're going to stream on Binance Live. And we're going to stream on YouTube on that one, probably on X as well. So join us tomorrow night. Check out the Oracle tonight. Thank you to Simon. Who else is here? Let's scroll up. Alpha is here. Danny is here. Thank you to everybody that's here. See you all I'll see you in the morning. See you in the evening. Take care. Bye-bye.